This entire region is extremely vulnerable in terms of natural disasters. And now this danger has increased so much that there is a very high likelihood that this region might completely vanish altogether.
Are we talking about Ali or are we talking about Indonesia? And
about Ali and about Indonesia and about Thailand and about the vast land of Australia and about the south of India and about many other diverse regions that are nearby. Right here, situated just a short distance away from the coast of Bali, lies a powerful seismic epicenter that triggers a truly colossal tsunami. An event of this immense magnitude and destructive power has absolutely never been witnessed in recorded history before.
well, that's a reasonable question. So which part of the earth is safe then?
The part that hasn't been split into a continent. That is a solid continent.
Anton, please tell us, what do you think? Can you say something about this?
So what, do we have another apocalypse on the agenda, right? It's just that I've already lived through a few of them. Here we have someone talking about the end of the world with a tense, strained, spasmodic voice. I can't even imitate it. You see, for this person, the end of the world is already happening. There's not even any need to wait for anything. When I was in Altai, I lived there for 5 years. I saw a lot of people who came there to save themselves. By the time that we finally reached 2012, and they would talk about their lives. I saw these people. There was even a saying among those who just lived there. Those who weren't there to save themselves, but just lived there. There was a saying that Altai is a place where the end of the world is permanent. You see, there are different positions people take. Some people choose a path. If the barn has burned down, let the house burn too. Something didn't work out for them, something went wrong, now we're all gonna die, that's it, let's live from that perspective. But reality is very stubborn, it doesn't buy into these attitudes. The sun keeps rising above the horizon, clouds run across the sky, rain waters the fields, and the grass grows. Clearly there will be significant changes across our planet, because the climate is changing, just as it has always done here. The entire history of our planet is a history of climate change. And what we are observing now is the normal state of our planet. And as we clearly know, the entire geological history of our planet is the continuous shifting and movement of continents, slowly, carefully. Part of that history is intense volcanic activity and eruptions. Part of that history is tsunamis. All of this takes place. And there is nothing unique or special about it. And now this person is saying that, yes, at the fault lines, at the places where magmatic rocks come to the surface, yes, there are bubbles that all scientists record this. So this is not esotericism, this is real life. Scientists are recording the accumulation of this magmatic bubble, which could burst at any. But this is all a normal state of our planet. The question is something else. When will this happen? Where will you be? Where will you be at that moment? And in most cases, a human lifetime is far too brief to actually witness these events. In the vast majority of cases, a human will kill another human before any kind of global cataclysm does.
All right, if we don't delve into the topic of the end of the world, but simply look at cataclysms from the perspective of, as you say, spirituality and esotericism, why does all this happen? If we take climate and the natural environment out of consideration entirely.
That question is equivalent to asking why there is a change of the seasons. Why does it rain?
No, that can't be right. Could it be happening in order to maintain a certain kind of balance in the world?
Our planet has its own rhythms. The same goes for solar activity. It's an 11-year cycle. There are deep internal rhythms of our planet. There are rhythms that are intricately linked to the movement of the moon across the sky. These rhythms are recorded by instruments. We have earthquakes, we have volcanic eruptions. They occur regularly. We even have a process like the shifting of our planet's electromagnetic poles. This is not speculation, it's not esotericism, it's a scientific fact. And no one has any idea how humans will experience this process. What will happen to us? And something will happen to us, because there are studies where a person was placed in a chamber isolated from the planet's electromagnetic field, and the person would go insane there. They lost the ability to adequately perceive reality. Their physical body stopped functioning properly when they were placed in a chamber isolated from the Earth's electromagnetic field. And how does the pole shift happen? At some point, the Earth's electromagnetic field disappears, then it reappears. So when it disappears, what are we going to do? And these rhythms exist. You can't pinpoint the exact year like this because there's always a margin of error. A human lifetime is too short for that. We don't fall into these rhythms, but they do exist.
Let's take a closer look at this very topic that he's bringing up. He mentions that Indonesia, Thailand, Australia, and the southern regions of India, maybe there are certain energies there.
It's possible.
And that's why some disasters happen there.
We were filming a course. I was teaching. We were practicing in Indonesia on the island of Bali. And on the neighboring island, a volcano erupted.
So you weren't affected. And
continued practicing further. But some people, yes, some were swept away at that moment. And
why did that happen? What does it depend on? Why did some people get swept away and others didn't?
Now that's a completely different question. When we take this off the agenda, that it's not abnormal, and we say, yes, our planet has these processes, it's normal. The question arises, how is it determined who is sitting on that volcano and who is just practicing on the neighboring island and isn't affected by this process in any way at all? Were they? What determines a person's viability? There was a major earthquake in Turkey recently. What was happening in the country then? What was the state of society? What was the state of the people? They were in a state of very strong aggression. Did someone burn something? Another holy scripture? The whole country was up in arms and full of hatred. And then an earthquake happened there. So
does that mean that a person, in fact, creates all these events themselves?
No. These events are normal for our planet. There's a joke that goes, when there are a lot of bad things. Well, it's like a joke I remember from childhood, when a lot of bad people received an invitation to board a ship. Each looked at their invitation thinking, God won't sink a whole ship just for me. I know I'm a scoundrel. As the ship set sail, God said, it took so long to get you all in one place.
So really, if you transfer this to our reality, everything is built on this principle.
Yes, that is, if you find yourself lacking in inner vitality, it gradually begins to fade away when you are aggressive. When you harbor bitter resentment, when you make demands, generate complaints, or when you try to reject the outside world, to reject reality, to reject your own soul, to reject your true nature. That's when you lose vitality. That's exactly when you'll find yourself in the place where a cataclysm happens. And it might not be a natural disaster at all. It could be a technocratic cataclysm. The same thing, the plane crashes and that's it. All the people who were on board, they are not viable. If by some miracle, in some way, there happened to be a viable person there, they will survive. And everyone will say, it's a miracle. Recently in India, a plane crashed and was smashed to pieces, but one person was running around among the wreckage. He was on that plane and was just running around the debris while the rest were mangled. So, how does this happen? Such cases are recorded everywhere. But why is that? Because a person's viability ultimately determines where they will be during the exact moment of a catastrophe, and what will happen to them when that catastrophe occurs.
All right, so just to return to the video for a moment, it says that entire continents, let's say for instance, there's a clear hint at Eurasia, will probably fare much better for a certain extended period of time than island nations or coastal countries. So can we then perhaps draw a direct analogy from what you're saying now, that this specific territory mentioned here will be exactly like that? It seems people resonate with this idea, meaning they believe everything is fine and absolutely nothing bad will happen to us, simply because we consistently strive to bring out the very best into this world.
The best. If you want to know what will happen to this place, you need to look at the people and the population living there.
But what about us right now?
If the people you encounter are deeply embittered, overtly aggressive, unnecessarily cruel, and completely full of intense hatred, then I would not recommend spending any time in such a toxic place. You see, even in the Bible, there is a story where Abraham, I believe, was talking to God, and they were discussing what was going to happen to the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. I might be mistaken, but I think it was Abraham who asked God, how could it be that you destroyed the whole city, and the righteous people who were there perished as well? He says there were no righteous people there. How could there not be? In the whole city, he says, Yes, in the whole city there were no righteous people. He asks, but what if there had been? He says, if there had been, I would not have touched that city. And then the conversation continues about the number of righteous people. And this conversation ends with God saying that if there had been even 10, if I had found at least 10 righteous people there, I would not have touched that city. Just 10 righteous individuals can save an entire city if the state is viable. And what exactly does a viable state mean? It is, above all else, the profound strength of the spiritual connection with one's own soul. But what does this strength of connection with one's soul truly mean, especially when most people don't even know where the soul is located? It is expressed in the vibrant intensity of the divine energy called love. And this is not love for your mother, not for your father, not for your grandfather, not for your grandmother, not for your wife, not for your lover, not for your child, not even for your cat. This is love without conditions. It is this unconditional love manifested in a person that determines their viability. 10 such people with a high degree of manifested love, the righteous, this is what is meant by such a person, can save an entire city. And here the main thing is not to cling to titles or regalia. That is, if a person puts on a cross and dresses in the right clothes, it does not mean that he is righteous. Here it is very important to look specifically at the energy.
If a person, for example, has a deep connection with their soul, then on an intuitive level, they will surely leave places where they are surrounded by people who lack this spiritual connection.
When a person has a strong connection with their soul, they have free will. If they want to leave, they will leave. If they don't want to, they won't leave. But
will the people around them influence them at that moment?
We are always influenced by the people around us, always. The question is, how stable are you in that state? If you are easily offended, if you are easily insulted, it means your love is weak, no matter how much you try to amplify it through practice. Yes, you can reignite the passion in your heart with the help of techniques and exercises. But if a mosquito flies by and you start hating everyone again, well, that kind of love isn't worth much. So conditional love is, for the most part, dead from the very beginning. If they're perfect, your heart is on fire. But then they act unpredictably, and just like that, your love is gone. You think, you're a devil, you're so uptight. But unconditional love is the kind of love that can't be taken away from you, no matter what tricks or stunts someone pulls. It's like trying to make you stop breathing. It's impossible to do. You would die. And for a righteous person, it's similar to this process. He can't give up love just because there's something he doesn't like. He can't cool his heart just because some irritant has appeared.
All right. So it turns out that Indonesia, specifically Bali, or as mentioned in the video, the south of India, and you also mentioned Turkey. So it turns out that in these places where something happened, there were no people present at that moment.
Yes. That is, in this area, there weren't enough righteous people to balance out the amount of aggression from others. The proportions didn't match up. And yes, people do pull others into their own state, but it's the same as coming to a bar and trying to stay sober. Either you'll feel creepy and uncomfortable there, or you'll actually feel intoxicated yourself, even without drinking alcohol. In other words, their energy fields will affect you. It's the same as coming into a group of nervous, agitated, irritable people, and after a few minutes, you yourself become nervous and irritable. They'll pull you into their state. And it's a completely different story, you know? Let's say there's some kind of emergency, some chaos, a lot of fuss, and you come in and sit down. In this environment, your state is so unshakable, so harmonious, that everyone around you calms down. You can do that too. That requires tremendous inner stability. You need to have a core. This is achieved through practice, but it has to be done.
Tell me, have you ever, so to speak, lifted that veil? The veil of the future? Have you ever gazed upon it at all? You can see what's happening, can't you?
I have looked.
I was wondering, have you at some point recently looked into the complex and shifting current situation in the world? And what about the cataclysms? And what's there?
It changes. It's a dynamic process. The future process is dynamic. And into which channel of fate I will step, I don't know. My will is free. How can I know how I will use it? But
still, one way or another, there are some boundaries. I understand that all of this changes and absolutely everything influences it. But if you could describe it in very general terms, at the moment when you looked, what did you at least see?
I am realizing my intention. Against all odds, no matter what.
Against what? Against what's happening now?
Against the Kali Yuga, against the peak of solar activity, against the madness of people who do not have a stable, harmonious state, against the processes that right now could result in local cataclysms in different parts of the earth, against absolutely everything. And
So by local, what exactly are we talking about now?
right now we're talking about war, we're talking about technocratic disasters, we're talking about natural disasters that are not something supernatural. This is normal for our planet, and it's a norm that will continue to occur. And
But if we narrow it down a bit to a specific territorial or geographical aspect, where could this approximately happen? Where are these points most likely to manifest?
you need to look at people, not at the future, at people. Wherever there is the highest concentration of hateful, aggressive, embittered people, that's where it will happen. Just as I mentioned earlier, the future is constantly changing and dynamic. Look, for example, I'm about to go on a major international tour. We will be holding practices in different parts of the planet. I choose these places on the planet, not because I'm looking at where a cataclysm will happen or not happen. I look at where I need to be. I see that this place is the most suitable for us to conduct this kind of practice. And this place is the most suitable for us to conduct another practice. And here we go and connect with Shaktipitas, the most powerful artifacts of the Vedic tradition. And we will be there. I don't pay attention to cataclysms. I'm not interested in that.
So can we conclude that if you are in these places, everything will be fine there? Please tell us, where will you be and where do you plan to be in the near future, geographically?
In just a few short days from now, I will have a retreat on Koh Phangan, Thailand. He says that all the details will be revealed a bit later on, and there I will be demonstrating various spiritual practices, and I will be teaching people there. There we will be opening our hearts. We will be igniting our energy, shedding the shackles of restrictive structures. Then I will go to practice on my own, as part of my personal practices, on the island of Java. That's Indonesia, it's right next to Bali. So I will be traveling to the hottest spots, but I'm going there once again to evolve, to develop, to grow spiritually, to surpass my own boundaries and capabilities. Then comes the next destination. We need to find solitude. We need to find a place where we are as far away as possible from structure, from systems, from the state, from society. That's the Maldives, lost there in the middle of the ocean. Again, islands, one might think, what a nightmare, a disaster. We need the mainland or snow. But instead, we'll leave the mainland and go there to perform practices dedicated to the Sri Yantra. Then we will head to Nepal. Right now, people are already getting shaken up there. But it's nothing to worry about. Nepal is still in our plans. Because we will be visiting the Shaktipita located there, India. Once again, we will journey back to this country to come into contact with Vedic artifacts. Sri Lanka is the legendary homeland of Ravana, a powerful demon who devoted his entire existence, a truly formidable demon. Oh, cool, terribly bad. An Asura who devoted his life to understanding the primordial. A demon Asura who, being evil incarnate, decided to understand his own nature, the nature of the universe. And so, on the island of Sri Lanka, he had his palace, and he granted to practitioners the Shiva Tandava Stotram, which is now actively practiced, and through it, intention is manifested. People might have doubted, but when you live in growth, in evolution, in the realization of your intention, you don't ask yourself where disaster will strike, because you know for sure it will strike where you are not. But if it suddenly happens that disaster strikes right beneath me, then that too is part of my path. It means that this is something that will really help me achieve my intention faster. And it's quite possible that having gone through this event, I will later talk about it and be glad that it happened to me, instead of throwing a fit, asking how something like this could have happened. The focus is different. Life is structured differently. By different principles, by different value systems, I move forward. I encourage people to move forward in the same way. Those who try this, those who realize it's possible, they stop being afraid. They are no longer afraid of our planet or the rhythm of the universe or global processes. They are not even afraid of other people anymore, because when you declare your intention and with love in your heart move toward realizing it, the Spirit itself lays out your path. What could possibly happen to you on such a path?
Anton, thank you for your answers. And you, friends, leave us comments, give us likes. Your feedback is truly important to us, and you can find all the links in the description below this video.
95% of people don't even realize that within them lies a power that grants access to any possibility, a successful business, strong relationships, health, and self-fulfillment. It allows you to hear your soul and remember your true nature, your divine nature. This power is your energy. When it is blocked, you feel tired and upset. But when your energy flows freely and without obstacles, you are full of strength and capable of achieving any goal. Everyone can feel the movement of energy in their body. Are you ready to see this for yourself right now? I've prepared a practice where, in just 3 minutes, you'll become aware of the state of your energy and be able to activate the inner power that has been blocked for many years. The practice is available for a limited time. Right now, follow the link provided below the video and unlock the incredible source of power within yourself.